You know, yeah. So are you also plans to work with Bollywood in future? Yes. I know Shah Rukh Khan, he's very famous. And I'm actually for my next project, I'm trying to include him in a role. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, we will see. So discussion is going on? Excuse me? Discussion is going on between you and have you approached him yet? I haven't approached him. My wife actually is related to him via a cousin far away. So we have access to him, once we are ready. I would love to work with him. But, as I said, in Switzerland, you're not very familiar with Indian cinema because only very few movies, actually Indian movies, come to Switzerland. Because the market is, here it's very big, in Switzerland it's very small. So very few Indian movies you get to see.
Anyway, all the best for the movie and
we got a success party. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Your master.
Yes, my name is Marcel Schneider. I'm an actor in Switzerland for about 20 years. Playing the lead role, this movie diary starts.
The woman is not here.
He is the woman as well.
The double role, yes.
Can you tell us something about the theme of the movie? About your role?
This role was very difficult to get into it. You have to search, you have to find points of your life which gives you an idea of playing a female as a male. And so I was really searching and finding some points which helped me to get this character, to make this transformation. And I was very happy with Simon because we know each other for more than 20 years. And he helped me a lot to find this, what did he want. He had this vision, this clear vision, and he brought me to this.
Yeah, you can tell something about the movie, how you're coming.
Okay, I will. My name is Simon Avey. I'm the writer, director, and co-producer of this film. And the basic storyline started when I was about 15 years old. A very close friend of mine killed himself, he was sexually, I would say, very active, but also ambiguous, couldn't find his role neither as a male or as a female. I mean, it was a big shock for all of us back then, and I kind of kept this story in the back of my mind for many years. And when I started making movies, after my studies, I met Marcel many years later. And I thought about portraying him, the death of my little friend, imagining myself if this would happen to somebody when he was older, So I came up with this storyline and asked him if he would be ready to shoot the movie. And then we set on, we tried to get funding from the Swiss government, In Switzerland, a lot of films are sponsored and financed by the government, and they declined, they didn't want to have anything to do with this, especially not in English, they don't like to produce English language movies. And I made most of my movies, I made about a dozen movies, most of them are in English. So I said, why don't we just do it with a very small team? I was used to making big budget movies with like 500 team, a team of 500 people. So we said, we reduce it to 4 people, being able to sit in a car. It was the DOP, the director of photography, it was myself, and it was him and a lighting technician. So we set out to make this movie on a very small scale, which actually, which we were able to make, with not a lot of money, So we financed it basically ourselves. But I have to say, it took us almost 10 years to finish the movie. And when it was finished, that's interesting, we showed it to the Swiss government, and they really liked it. They said, we want to sponsor it. This movie has to go out into the world. So we were able to screening at the Cannes Film Festival last year. that's where we went most, and he said, let's bring this movie to India, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, your thoughts.
I thought as a distributor, nowadays people like different kind of cinema with a good content. So I thought let's try a Swiss film first time in Indian cinema. Might be people like new opportunity, more audience also for us also.
And we are distributing other films also, other language films.
Yeah,
Bollywood films.
yeah. This last our movie was the Marco, Hit 3. Friday we are releasing another in Tamil.
So you are connected with distribution part basically.
Yeah.
What about you, sir?
So my name is Remo Mukli. I'm a producer of the movie, and we like this movie because we really think that it's time to show a different approach to the movie, to the people. We think it's a very honest movie, and it's a lot about self-reflection. For some people, they know somebody who went through a phase like this. So it really is addressing a lot of people in a different way, and that's why we thought that this is a good thing. And especially the way we also met people now in India. We think people in India are very open to also, to have a different approach to movies, to different stories, and we are very happy that we can be here, and thank you very much.
I mean, how is the scene around? Because this community kind of, like earlier there was so much of taboo and all, Now everything is opened up and it's been acceptance there all around the world, including India. So what are your thoughts on that basically?
I didn't make the movie, we didn't make the movie with the perspective of which audience that it will appeal, It was kind of a coincidence that Manoj liked it, and to be able to show it in a country that really loves cinema still, Cinema is dead in the US, basically, especially art house cinema, And I normally make movies, with a strong conviction of my vision, not with the perspective of who it's, who will like this movie, And I think the more true you are, the more true you are with your vision or to your vision, the better the movie will be at the end, And I think that's why this movie is very authentic, it's very universal, I think you could show it in India, you could show it in Switzerland, it really worked, in France it really worked. So I think, I think there's an audience for that.
Being a director, what do you want for the audience to feel, after watching the film, when they walk out from the cinema?
That's a great question. I think the message of the movie is that you have to be true to yourself, because at the beginning of the movie is a male, it's very male. He's this teacher living out in the countryside in a small village, living a very, very normal life, and he's forced to go back to his apartment where he grew up with his mother because she's in hospital. She can't come back to the apartment, so she's basically faced with his past, with the things he lived with, the experiences he had with his mother, and I think, that's basically how we came about it.
I want to add, I think the audience, as I said, we had different screenings, and it was overwhelming to see when the people leave the screening that, especially women, were actually crying, because they were so moved by the story and by the acting, and also all these feelings which are shown through the movie. So it really makes people think about different kind of things, about themselves, but also about that they know somebody who went through the same thing. So it's really, for a lot of different reasons, it really has an effect on you.
So, what was your first reaction when they approached you for this role?
Die erste Reaktion.
What is your first reaction when they?
It's a very good question because when I was about 20 or maybe 18, I was, even at that early age, I was confronting myself how it would be like. I was not that sure really to be what I am. Even I felt like a man. So I was confronted very early, and then he came 10, 15 years later with that offer of the movie, and he didn't know that. So I was very interested. I was curious. Can I really make that? Believable? Is it possible? That he gave the directions. Afterwards, I think it worked well.
Yeah, I mean, in India also there is Kashish Film Festival, which dominantly only these subjects are movies with these subjects are screened. So have you heard about it? And would you like to go for that festival and
Of course, they invite you to show our movie there.
yeah, Kashish, because it's not a spot over.
Kashish is a film festival on the basically the LGBT theme.
All the movies all over the world on those themes are screened there. It's a huge success. And that means there is a awakening about this topic. It's no more considered a taboo. I'm talking about Europe. Like how this kind of subject is handled and how people are treated. Like earlier, like there was a lot of violent reactions from normal people. So how is the scene out there?
I mean, as I said before, I think the basic message of the movie at the very end, it leaves you experience the whole process of him, very gentle. You basically jump. I saw this movie as jumping into his head and seeing the whole movie out of his head, out of a character that is totally male and slowly becomes a woman, and adapts to the adventure that you go through when you are a woman. And they are kind of explicit, but I think at the end it leaves you with the message that whatever you feel like is okay. If you feel like transitioning into a woman and you feel, or even you remain a man, but you live out your female side, that's okay. That's basically the message. And vice versa, for women. It's actually interesting that, as you said, we screened it at the Berlin Film Festival, and there was this one woman, and she was totally out of herself, it touched her so deeply, That was really an experience for us,
I had said, made myself, came up my mind to say that maybe this is more moving forward. Maybe because women, as the experience of this audience we had, I was so touched. I was really surprised.
And you asked about the festival. I think it's also important to say there are many stories from many people, many different stories, and this is one story. But we understand that many people have different stories and how they cope with it. But I think when they see this movie, they can reflect how it was for them, or how, again, somebody I know, how it is for them.
This is going to be a theatrical release?
Yeah, right.
Tell me about the commercial aspects about it, like how you expect people's reaction.
People's reaction, we can't predict how they like or how they will react.
That is going to reflect on box office.
Yeah, of course, but we can't predict the box office for any movie, either English movie or the big star movie also. Nobody can nowadays predict.
And how much is screen?
It's a screen by some 100 screen. Yeah.
But I think,
Mostly in PVR cinema, yeah.
but I think for the people in India, this is a very interesting movie because it's different than what they're used to seeing.
From Switzerland.
Also from Switzerland. Yes, when you talk about Switzerland, you see the Alps and this kind of image. But with this movie, it takes you really on a journey of a story of one person, and it's different than what they're expecting. So I think they will be surprised and they will be overwhelmed.